Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, then welcome. So I feel like this palette from Huda Beauty, the Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette, is still a very, very popular palette, even though I believe it is now discontinued, that you can no longer purchase this one, but I feel like I still see a lot of people talking about this one, how this is one of her best palettes and everybody loves this color story. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean. A lot of people love this kind of color story. So I just wanted to do a quick little video revisiting this eyeshadow palette and just seeing, is it still the prettiest eyeshadow palette? And instead of just doing an eye look and that's it for this video, I want to we'll just go through the whole makeup routine, kind of like a get ready with me style kind of video. Just go ahead and go through all of that. So that sounds interesting. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit because the first thing I'm going to do is my prep steps for my eyeshadow primer. I am going to go in with my Danessa Myricks. This is the Blurring Balm Powder. I just have like a little deluxe sample size kind of thing that I got from Sephora, like with points. I find that if I use a small amount of this, it makes my eyeshadows last pretty well. But there are some days where I'll end up over applying it and I will end up making it it can feel kind of greasy, like if you over apply it, at least on me, or on my eyelids I should say. I've never used it as a face primer. I believe that you can also use it as a face primer as well. I've never used it that way. I just like to use it as eyeshadow primer, especially when my Milani eyeshadow primer was failing me. But now that the weather has cooled down a little bit here where I'm at, the Milani one's not performing badly like it was. Like my eyeshadows would always crease, but it's doing a little bit better right now. Oh, and this is a Flawless concealer brush from e.l.f. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and prime my face as well, and I'm just going to be using products from my everyday makeup drawer for the month of December. So for primer, I'm first going in with the CoverGirl Skin Enhancer Plush Plump Primer, and I'm going to mix that with the CoverGirl Skin Enhancer, what is this? The Luminizer in Jelly Opal Glow. I just like to mix the two of these together. They've been working pretty well for me. I do like them. Now, do I like them better than like my favorite Say primer or my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer? No. But I do think that they're good ones. But those are just my favorite primers ever. Like those are the it primers for me. Honestly, I think that might be a good goal for me to do in 2025, which, can you believe it? It's almost time for that. I think that might be a goal of mine, to try to use up all the primers I have in my collection and just use the Say and the e.l.f. one, because I just find that I don't need any other primer. They work the best for me. They don't ever interact weirdly with my skincare or my sunscreen. They don't pill up or anything like that, whereas some primers absolutely do. You can see it just gives that really pretty glow. I think that Luminizer is maybe kind of like something similar to the Say Beauty one. Not a dupe, I won't call them dupes, but a good alternative if you don't want to pay for the Say one. Okay, there's no skin tone eyeshadow in this palette, so I'm just going to use my little mini shadow from Wet n Wild. This is in the shade Brulee. This has been my go-to for many years of setting my eyeshadow primer because it's like my skin tone. Of course, you can use anything. You can use like a powder, loose powder, like a face powder, or a pressed face powder. Anything works. This has just always worked for me, so I usually keep one of these little mini ones. I can't pick it up. There we go. Usually keep one of these mini ones by my little table right here, and I just use it. I'm almost about to finish it because I have a really big pan in it. Honestly, I don't know if they're even still selling that shade. The last time I even looked, I believe it was on Amazon, but I don't believe this shade was on the Wet n Wild website. So once I finish this one up, I probably won't be able to get this one again unless I order it from Amazon, which I don't know if I really want to order something like this from Amazon because these little teeny singles like this are very fragile. And I just don't know how I'd feel about ordering it. Okay, on a Sigma E24, I think I'm going to take the shades Radiate and Serenity and just mix the two of these back and forth. Like, I just dipped twice in both shades, and then I'm going to run that right into my crease. I always felt like this was a very pretty palette, but I had no idea it was still just as popular as it was when it first came out. Like, I feel like I still see content involving this palette, so it's really sad you can't buy it anymore. I haven't used mine in so long, and I'm trying to use my palettes more. Like, I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I know a lot of people do that, what's it called? No pan left behind, but honestly, I don't know if I could do that or not with the amount of palettes that I have. Like, if that was something that I also set as a goal for myself for next year, I honestly don't know if I could do that or not with the amount of palettes I have. Now, I do want to do like a declutter, like an entire collection declutter, but I think I'm going to save that for January, like when I'm posting some content in January. I just keep building this up, by the way, because right now it's so busy with the holidays and everything, and I know that at this moment in time, I'm not going to have the proper time to really either donate some things or give them to friends or whatever the case may be. It's just not going to happen right now. So I think that will be a good project for me to start in January. Like, do a full collection declutter and kind of start fresh with products that I know that I really want in my collection. I will never have a small collection. Like, I know that for a fact. I like to have a lot of makeup. I just love it so much. I love trying new things. I love discovering, new products or new brands. Because I feel like before I joined Instagram, there were so many of these indie brands that I never even heard of. And I don't mean that like in a mean way. I just meant that I wasn't familiar with all those brands like that. Joining social media kind of, showed me all of these really pretty indie brands. I don't have a lot of their palettes, I will admit to that, because a lot of those brands tend to lean on the more colorful side. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just don't really wear that kind of makeup. I like really neutral tones. I mean, even the really smoky kind of looks that I've really been liking lately, like some of the smokier palettes and stuff, that's still technically neutral because they are neutral shades. It's just a little bit more on the bolder side of neutral, but it's still neutral. I've just been yapping this whole time and just blending that out, like those two shades. I just keep dipping back and forth into those two shades and just going in. Keep just going in multiple times just to make sure that I picked up enough. But I did want this video to be a little bit kind of chatty as well. I love watching these videos. I think my favorite thing about creators are the ones that are a little bit more chatty. I like the chatty. I do. I think that there's really no point in YouTube if you're not going to be chatty. Which, I mean, to each their own. Okay, I'm going to take that same brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Mantra, and we're going to press that right out here. I'm really going to press that down first, and then I'll go in and blend. I kind of do these really swirly motions. Yeah, something like that. Honestly, I thought about it. I said, I really love the shades in that bottom row. I said, I might just stick with those shades. There might be one shade that I go outside of this row. But I don't know, something about this bottom row really spoke to me. Alright, I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that because I feel like I blended a lot of it away around like the lash line part. So I'm going to add in a little bit more of that shade. If it's not perfectly blended, it is okay. I am not a professional makeup artist by any means. This is just for fun. And as I've mentioned many times, anything that gets out here, I will always clean it up later. Alright, we'll do the same thing on this eye. These are such pretty shades. They're so easy to work with. I think the only time I've ever struggled with a Huda Beauty palette were those two little 9-pan palettes that had a lot of the cream shades in them. Oh, those were the worst things that I have ever tried. And I felt so justified in that when I watched a couple of other creators that reviewed those palettes too and hated them as well. I felt like, oh good, it's not just me, because I thought it might have been just me, because I don't really work with a lot of cream shadows. But other than that, her palettes have always worked for me. And this is a pretty palette. Okay, on a Sigma E54, I'm going to take the shade Abundance. Okay, and that shade I'm going to place right here, kind of in the center of my eye, meeting up with that deeper shade on the outer corner there. I thought that would be like a really pretty shade to place in the center between that matte and then the brighter shimmer that I'm going to place on the inner part. I didn't spray my brush, by the way, you totally can. I might spray it for the next shade, because I really want this next shade to pop. You know, I can definitely see why people really like this palette. This is so pretty. Just keep going back in, just packing on a little bit more. I love the way that shade kind of meets up with this darker outer portion. Okay, and then I'm just going to take that brush and really wipe it off on this little silicone matte thing here. And then I'm going to take the shade Moon Magic, which, can you see how that kind of like shifts? Like, so pretty. Okay, I did spray my brush because I really want this to pop. Really see that blue and purple. And then I'm going to go back in with a completely dry brush because I wiped that off completely, and I'm going to pack more of that shade over the top. I find that that really helps intensify it even more. Apply it wet first, really wipe your brush off, and then go back in and pack some more over the top, and it really makes it pop. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to apply it wet first. Get the pigment down. Okay, and then dry that brush off and pack more over the top. I'm not saying this will work with every sparkle shade, but usually it does. I don't know, I think it makes it just a little bit more vibrant when you layer. You know, there is no blue. I just realized there is no blue and purple in this outfit I'm wearing. I don't know why I thought that shade would look a little more pink than it does. It looks more blue and purple, but I didn't swatch any of these. I just went in. I don't know why. I thought that that would be more pink. I guess because it does kind of look, in some light, it looks more pink. Still pretty. Of course, I'm not wearing this outfit out anyway. This is a dress and it's too cold for that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do my under eye. So I'm just going to take at first my Cali Ray Hideaway Corrector in Pale Sun. I'm going to do 2 dots on both sides. I love this stuff so much. And then I'm going to take my Rare Beauty Brightener, under eye brightener in the shade Light, and just put that in the center. I really like the two of these mixed together. I just think they do a good job. Then I'm just going to take Radiate and Serenity and mix those two together again. And run that along my lower lash line. Pick up a little bit more. And then on the same brush, I'm going to take the shade Self Love, and we're going to pop that right here on this inner corner. Now that has a little bit more of a pink to it. Yeah, that definitely has a pinkness. That would have been a pretty shade to use on the lid. Of course, I like the way it looks, but that would have been really pretty to use. Okay, I'm just going to do my mascara. I'm going to do that off camera right quick. I'm just going to be using my Refi Lash Sculpt, so I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Alright, first thing I'm going to go in with my Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. This is in the shade 1C, but before I do that, I want to spray my sponge with my setting spray. We got us a new bottle. My other one was completely used up, which you saw that. If you watched my last video that went up, you saw that. Well, right on camera, I used it up with you, but I love this setting spray. Honestly, this is probably the only setting spray I'd want in my collection, and actually it's the only one that I do have, but I really like it. But this is just a mini size. I bought the little holiday set she had with 2 of the minis, but once I finish the second mini up in the set, I will buy the full size. Okay. Oh, You know what? Let me take these little deer earrings out right now so I don't get foundation all over them. Because I absolutely would. They come from Walmart like a couple of years ago, actually. I don't believe you can buy them now, but I know Walmart has out these little holiday earrings every year. I feel like it's next to impossible to find deer, like jewelry, outside of Christmas. Like, I don't understand that. Deer exist year-round. See, I did manage to get my ring. I don't know if anybody's ever paid attention to the ring I always wear on this side. It's, you know, a mama and a baby deer. I feel like most of the time when you find jewelry, it's Christmas themed when it comes to the deer, and I just don't get that. Okay, I really do like this foundation. I've been using it this whole entire month, and it's about here, getting close to the end of December, and I remember at the beginning of the month I said I wanted to put this in my everyday makeup drawer so I could really get my final thoughts on it. I do like it. I really think it's a pretty foundation. I've never tried his concealer. I know there's a concealer I believe that goes with this. I've never tried the concealer. I might pick that up the next time I'm in the Sephora at Kohl's near me. I might pick up the concealer too because I do like the foundation. I think it looks really pretty. And speaking of Makeup by Mara, this next thing has just become everything to me. This is the Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. This one's in the shade Fair. I love this so very much. I've been using this as well in my everyday makeup drawer. I'm just gonna like put some on the bottom of my sponge, like just one little pump like that, instead of using the wand, because honestly, this blends in so easily. I don't need to dwell on it. I did mention it in my last video. If I could only keep like 20 products, I did mention it in that video as well, and it's so good. This is one reason why I will continue to do these everyday makeup drawer videos, because it really helps me to, well, first and foremost, use what I have, but also it helps me to discover things that I really love. Because prior to using this, my favorite like bronzer of all time was the Say, the one in the pot, the cream bronzer in the little pot from Say. I know they have a liquid one too, but the cream one. And I still love that one. I still stand by that one. That's a good one if you want more of that kind of formula. But this is so good. Honestly, this is probably one of my most favorite products of the year. I believe this actually came out this year, if I'm not mistaken. I love it. It is so pretty. It's the perfect shade. It blends in so easily with a sponge. I mean, you can use it with a brush too. I've just always kind of used it with a sponge. Well, I usually use it sometimes with the other side of my Refi Face Duo brush, like the more denser side. Sometimes I've used it like that, but I find that it works really good with a sponge. Just, well, most of the time I use the little applicator, but I just said to make things a little easier today, I'm just going to apply it directly to the sponge using the pump, and I love this stuff so much. Okay, I can put my earrings back in now because I feel like, I know I have to powder my face, but I do have a liquid blush and highlighter. I am going to be using highlighter today. And then I'll go in with some powder. And this next blush, oh, I've been loving this shade ever since I picked it up. This is the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Bold Face Lilac. This shade is beautiful. I've been loving that shade, and I feel like because this turned out much more of a purpley look, I think this shade will be really pretty. And then I'm going to mix it with a highlighter today. I have the Rare Beauty Liquid Luminizer in the shade Enchant. This has like that beautiful pinky kind of shift to it. Honestly, this is probably the only highlighter that I actually like. I'm not a highlighter person. There's nothing wrong with highlighter. I'm just not a highlighter person. So I'm just going to take a dot of both on the back of my hand. Kind of like that right there. Just a little bit of each of them because they are pigmented. And I'm just going to mix them a little bit together on my sponge. And then go in. You can use a brush, of course, and everything. I just have my sponge sitting right here, so I'm just going out the easy, lazy way, I guess. Well, not lazy, because I do like applying products like this sometimes with a sponge, especially because both of these are incredibly pigmented, so I feel like the sponge does help, because I don't want to go overboard. Look how pretty that is. It's delicate, and I'm going to turn the sponge over to the side that has the Makeup by Mario, and I'm going to kind of blend over that a little bit right in here, just to make that merge a little bit, but look at that right there. And I feel like with that highlighter, it kind of lightened the shade even further, because I have worn this on its own, applying it with the sponge, and it's much more intense, but that is perfect for me. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Oh, these are beautiful together. I just never wear highlighter. I have nothing against it or anything. I just feel like mostly it's like my complexion products, like outside of highlighter, that are already pretty glowy. Like, you know, I used a glowy primer today. That foundation from Mario looks pretty glowy on my skin too. Of course, now that could be, you know, coming from the primer as well. That's so pretty. I know it looks very light. I'm hoping you can see it on camera. I know that a lot of times things can look a little bit washed out on camera, especially with lights and stuff, but it's just the perfect amount for me, what I like on an everyday basis, because it's so soft, it's delicate. But for the sake of this, I am going to apply a little bit more of the blush. Not the highlighter, just the blush. And I'm not going to take too much. I'm taking like that right there, the teeniest little dot. I'm not taking in a lot of that. I'm going to apply a little bit more of that, just to build it up a little bit. It's not going to be too much though. You can do the same thing, like of course turn it on the other side to make sure it's blended up against that bronzer. You know what's so interesting though is at first my most favorite shade from these e.l.f. blushes was Peach Perfect, because that shade is the closest to Rare Beauty's liquid blush in the shade Bliss, which Bliss has always been my favorite shade from the Rare Beauty blushes. And I don't know, I really like this one. I think this one is so pretty. Don't worry, I know my face is incredibly glowy. I'm about to put on some powder, but I just wanted to get all these steps down first, like all this liquid stuff first. But I am going to be going in with some powder in the T-zone area, and then leaving the glow on the outer half of my face. And the powder I'm going to be using is from One Size. This is in the Ultra Peach. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I am going to use a One Size powder, but hold that thought. Okay, I'm probably going to regret this, but I know a while back, and I've had this for a little while in my collection. A while back, Sephora was doing a thing where if you spent so much, you could add on this teeny little mini, and this is the One Size powder, but this is in the Ultra Pink, which I have mentioned. Oh goodness, it is all over the place. Hold that thought. Okay, that powder is all over the place. Can you see it? I can't tilt it too much. You can see it right there. Usually pink powders do not work for me. They usually leave a cast. However, I've always loved the One Size powder. And this will be a good opportunity for me to try this one out. I've never tried the pink one. I've heard that this is a very, very pink powder. So I'm going to use my Flawless Concealer brush. Okay, I've picked a little bit up, and I'm kind of working it into the brush using the cap. I want to try it. I want to try it. I love this powder. So let me see how it looks. And I might regret it. Or I might really love it up against that blush. But you know what? It does look like you add a little bit of blush here. Alright, I'm just going to keep it confined to this part. I'm not going to take it on my forehead or my chin. I'm going to use my other powder. Yeah, it is definitely very pink. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing. Work it into that brush. And really go in right here with it. I have been putting off trying this because pink powders usually leave a cast on me. I'll put some on the nose too because, you know, look like kind of like a pinky across the nose. Or it might look dumb. I don't know. I haven't even looked at my view. I don't know. I just have it here and I said, why not just try it out? But now I wouldn't use it all over the face. But honestly, when it's right in here, it doesn't leave like a dark cast on me. Sometimes pink powders do. They'll kind of like darken my skin a little bit. Like I don't know. Or leave a cast or whatever you want to call it. I don't know why that is, but this one, It just looks like you set your face almost like with a matte blush, but a very light blush. I don't hate it there, but now I'm not going to put that on the rest of my face because it would be too much. So I'm going to switch over to my Ultra Peach for like my forehead and like my chin area, and then right in here. Yeah, we're going to use like my regular peach powder for everywhere else. I'm sweating. It's hot in here. I'm going to overlap some of that a little bit, just a touch. What do we think about that powder? I actually don't think it looks bad. I think it kind of looks like it just really meshes well with the blush. Okay, well, I'm going to go in with my brows, and I'm going to use the Laura Geller. Oh, it's starting to rub away, but it's the Sculpt and Stay Waterproof Brow Pencil and Gel, but I'm going to use my Kosas Air Brow Gel instead of the gel in this one. I will say that the shade of this is perfect. I wish she sold the pencil like by itself, because the brow gel is okay, but it's nothing that special. But the pencil itself is a really perfect match. And then of course I'm going to go over that with my Kosas Air Brow Gel, which is the best brow gel, in my opinion. Okay, for lips, I'm first going to go in with my Lawless, I think these are like the Forget the Filler Satin Lipsticks in Wedding Day. I really love this shade. It's a very, I forgot to prep my lips earlier, so there's that, but I'm about to put a gloss on, so hopefully it'll be okay. I really love this shade. It's a very pale nude, but I love it. So you can see just by itself, it's very pale nude, but at first I didn't like that, but now I really do. And of course, if you wear it with a lip liner and all that, you can manipulate the shade, but I just wanted to wear it by itself because I'm about to put a gloss over the top. And this one is from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is their collab they did with Heather Austin. This is the Omen gloss, which I did not realize. I don't know if you can see it, but there I have about, I've already used that much of this. I did not realize that. It's a really pretty gloss. It's got all kinds of sparkles in it. I'm going to apply this, but then I am definitely going to be wiping the applicator off. And there we have this completed look. What do we think? I love it. I think it's so pretty. It looks like a galaxy princess with that purpley blue and the pinky lilac-y cheeks, and then that pink powder, which I don't know how I'd feel about that pink powder because usually pink powders don't work for me, but it's not something I would wear all over my face, but kind of like using it in here, it just kind of merges with that blush really nicely, so I don't know, I kind of like it. I don't know how much it looks like on camera, but in person it just looks like I have the little daintiest pink flush like right in here, and it's really cute and pretty. That's why I said it looks kind of like Galaxy Princess kind of thing. But you know what? Yes, this is a very pretty palette. It's still a pretty eyeshadow palette, and I can see why people love this one. Now, I believe this one has been discontinued, but I believe there are some brands out there that make like dupes of this, like the Color Story, or I'm sure you have something in your collection that you probably could get a very similar look to this. And if you have a lot of indie eyeshadows, then I know that you can definitely get this purple blue shift, because I feel like that's kind of a common one, but it never fails to amaze me every time because it's just so pretty. I love to see that purpley blue shift. It's just so pretty. And then that pink, pop of pink in the inner corner, I think just added into that touch of pink that I put on the cheeks as well. So yeah, this is a very pretty palette. I'm glad that I did pull it back out of my collection and use it again because it's just so very pretty. I wish it was still available. I think it should be, because it would definitely continue to be a bestseller. I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you are alerted to all my future uploads. Follow me on Instagram at jessicadeerly, and all of these products will be listed and linked for you below. They are affiliate links, so if you click through and purchase, I do earn a small commission, and if you choose to do so, thank you so much for supporting me and my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!